What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to Cúilín Media. It's myself, Aaron, and Liam here to review a bumper weekend of All-Ireland Senior Club Football, hurling, ladies football, camogie action. Plenty to discuss, plenty to break down, lots of shocks, thrills, spills, so many shocks across the board really this weekend. Definitely a shock weekend, plenty of talking points. I've got Liam with me here to break down the games and everything else. Liam, how's things? A mental weekend of club action. We're only saying off air there. There's a lot to get through here tonight.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder week on week, I think, to keep up with every game across the country. But I think we're doing a pretty good job with it. To be fair, we're covering it as best we can, and a mad weekend again. I thought last weekend was crazy, but this weekend has been it's been manic, to be honest with you, with the amount of shocks we've had, some of the mad results that we've had, and even some results that I'm looking at thinking, I didn't expect that, even the margin of victories. But looking forward to cracking into it anyways. We'll do our best to break down as much as we can anyways, without losing our minds. But looking forward to it. And I suppose I'm looking forward to all the club games becoming less and less over the next couple of weeks. But looking forward to this one now.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Garrod and Peter in the comments there. Garrod says here, well, lads, although I normally watch you live, I'll have to watch you back tomorrow because I'm currently celebrating winning a Junior E Dublin hurling county title with Vincent's. Fair play, man. Fair play. Delighted you got the win. Peter says that, hey lads, the result that really caught my eye was the draw on the Laois Senior Football Championship final. Fair play to Courtwood. I see some comments saying it should have gone to extra time and penalties. What do you reckon? Yeah, we'll probably come on to that because I think, Liam, were you covering that game?
No, I was actually at the Offaly Camogie finals today, but I suppose it's probably a good place to start, considering I'll have to be covering it tomorrow. It'll probably be the first thing I'll be covering tomorrow on the sports review for Midlands 103. But I suppose first of all, look, it's a cracking game. Portarlington were going for a 5th title in 6 years. Courtwood were going for a first ever senior title, and instead they have to do it all over again, which is great for me in terms of content for the next few weeks. But I suppose for either club, I suppose they probably would have preferred a replay. And Jonas as well, especially with the condensed season to a degree as well. I do wonder, it's a strange one because you obviously have last year, say, the All-Ireland final, when a lot of people thought Cork and Clare maybe should have gone to a replay instead of extra time. But now you're thinking maybe because I believe the Laois champions have to play Carlow on the first weekend in November, and the replay's been set for the 26th. You're thinking, could they have gone to extra time, instead of having to wait another 2 weeks and then play the Carlow champions the week after? But I suppose, look, it's a story for another day. But Courtwood, they impressed very early on in the game. They dominated kickouts. They pressed Portarlington into errors. Paul O'Flynn gave them an early lead with a very, very good goal as well. But they were kind of wasteful as well. They had 11. I think they had either 11 wides, or they hit 9 wides and hit a few shots short within the first 20 minutes. Portarlington led 1-8, or it was a 1-7 or 1-8 to 1-4 at halftime. It was one or the other. But the second half, Port, despite extending their lead, Courtwood brought themselves back into the game with a stunning 2-pointed free from Mark Bryan in goal. Alan Kinsler got a late goal, and it gave Courtwood the lead near full time. But the game ended level after a point towards the end by Dylan Keane. And Portarlington could have had a free at the end. It was a bit of a controversial end. Portarlington could have had a free at the end, but the referee waved play on. So Portarlington probably won't be, Pat Rowe probably won't be too happy regarding that. But in terms of performances from either side, from Courtwood, Mark Bryan scored 5 points, Paul O'Flynn got a goal, Alan Kinsler got 1-1, Colin Murphy got 5 points, Jake Foster got 1-2, Patrick O'Sullivan got 3 points for Portarlington. So it was a cracking game, great game of football. And do you know what it is? I'm certainly happy to see it go to a replay, because it means we get another cracking day out, and it gives Courtwood and Portarlington both a chance to relive today and say, right, what do we need to work on for the next day? But I don't know, from your perspective, do you think they should have gone to extra time?
I think it's a hard one to know, really. I think it's each for every championship, really. I've always been a big fan of replays, to be honest with you. I've liked having the games kind of go back again. I remember the 20 or the 2016 one. You get more games, you get more moments. It kind of, the drama goes on. I'd say it is frustrating for the players, though, because you give so much, you kind of would nearly rather an outcome on that particular day. Interesting enough, actually, with the Donegal football final, which we'll get onto in a moment, that game was a kick of a ball, essentially, away from being a replay. And actually, if it had gone to a replay, a lot of the county players were going away to Cancun with the Donegal team. So they would have missed the county final had it have gone to a replay.
Do you reckon though they would have just flown out afterwards, maybe, or they would have?
Probably, yeah, probably. I think like it would have been so harsh. Like I don't know, like you'd have to. But then I know some people are saying you move the county final, but Jesus, you know, you move it to. I don't know, like lads coming back after Cancun and then going straight into a final. Do you know what I mean? And then you have a long wait as well. I think it depends really on the players. Like I like either or, but I would say I think extra time and then a replay I think is fair. Rather than I think penalties is you'd rather a county final be decided by a replay rather than penalties. You know, like, I think penalties is very very harsh way to decide a county final.
100%, yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Nerb says here, big win for Dunloy and the Antrim Senior Football Championship. 89 years since their last win. Carrigan were poor today. Incredible results for Madden and Cúilín in Armagh, says Gaelic. Yeah, neither of them have ever won the Armagh Senior Football Championship. So what a final that's going to be in a couple of weeks. Daniel says, Nave Cunnell comeback for Guidor was incredible. Yeah, Guidor will be absolutely kicking themselves there. There's no question about that, though. And Gaelic Eye also says a new winner at last incoming in Armagh. Well, look, I suppose we'll start off. We'll go in order of the games that took place over the weekend. So we'll start with Friday's games, and I suppose that brings us into the Armagh Championship, really. So we had Madden 14 points, Clan Aaron 11 points. In the Kildare Senior Camogie final, I think Peter was mentioning it there. Naas 4-19, Maynooth 3 points. So very, very dominant display. I feel like Naas win everything. I feel like they win Camogie, they win men's football, they win hurling. I don't know if they win ladies football as well, but like it's geez, talk about a club having a strong, a stranglehold over a county at the minute.
Yeah, and they won a 7th hurling title in a row today against Maynooth, and yeah, like the domination they have in Kildare is absolutely frightening. And just with the hurling as well, like that sets them up now for a clash with Mount Leinster Rangers in the Leinster quarterfinal in Dr. Cullen Park, and that could be a tasty fixture. And you'd certainly back this to have a go at them. I feel like they'd feel like they regret the way they went out to St. Martin's last year, especially in Collins Park. But yeah, that should be an interesting quarterfinal to look forward to next month anyway.
Absolutely, and it brings us on to Saturday as well, and we'll discuss St. Pat's Cúilín 121, Crossmaglen Rangers 23 points. St. Pat's were actually 10 points down at one stage in this game, in the second half, going down the home stretch. Aidan Nugent, he was playing and he did score a couple of big 2-pointers. Obviously, plenty of matters going on off the pitch in regards to him, but keeping matters on the pitch, he did play well. In fairness to him, whether he should be playing or not, I'm not sure. But look, that's for other people to decide. Jason Duffy was very impressive as well. He had a very good game as well from a St. Pat's point of view. And Crossmaglen 10 points up, going down the home stretch. They actually led 10 points to 5 at half time as well. So yeah, incredible stuff there in Armagh. As we said, like about Madden haven't been in the finals in 27 years. I think St. Pat's were last in the final maybe 7 or 8 years ago or something like that, but neither have won it. So Jesus, yeah, it blows the Armagh Championship wide open there.
Yeah, it absolutely does. The key goal from Shea Hoy as well. Big mention to him as well. But in terms of Nugent, yeah, look, there's obviously the worries about him at the moment, but I suppose keeping matters on the pitch, what a way to win it for him. To be 10 points down, and especially against a team like Crossmaglen Rangers, who, what was it, 13 they won in Armagh? Was it 13 or 14 in a row they won? Like you would probably associate a team like them if they're going into the final stretch of a game and they have a big lead like that they would be able to hold it out. But to lose it in the position that they were in is absolutely insane. And it sets up a great final as well. It's brilliant to see that there's, again, I know we keep kind of referencing it a lot, but it's great to see now that there's 2 clubs that are in the decider who've never won it before. It just makes it that extra bit special to a degree. And nothing against Crossmaglen had they got to the final themselves again, but it just makes it a small bit more extra special to a degree. And yeah, look, to take down Crossmaglen Rangers like that, especially with the way they won it at the end as well with the last minute point, and And it sounds like, I mean, it's a shame I didn't get to actually see the game, but it sounds like it was an absolute cracking game. 121 to 23 points in a club football match in just 60 minutes, but 65 minutes is absolutely insane. So yeah, congratulations to Madden and Cúilín. We should have ourselves a fantastic Armagh football final. And unfortunately for yourself, but unfortunately for myself and all the boys, all our Ulster football predictions are also down the drain as well. So
yeah. And you know what? Like, it was mad. Like, you were seeing Madden get the job done against Clan Aaron, and then I was thinking, right, this is looking handy now for Cross McGlenn in terms of my my Ulster prediction. But yeah, no, that very much goes in the bin, and we'll get on to Liam's prediction of Ergo Kieran as well. You've Glenn who's gone as well. Like, geez, some amount of surprises. It really is. Gaelic Guy says here, Cúilín scored 5 2-pointers in the second half. Yeah, incredible stuff there. And yeah, do let us know as well, like in terms of any Armagh fans who you'd be predicting for that final, really. Looking at some other big games that are across the Saturday, so in the Tipperary Senior Hurling Championship, Lockmore Castleiney beat Holy Cross Ballycahill 118 to 15 points in the semi-finals. In the Galway Senior Football Championship semi-finals, Cúilín just about got the better of Tuam Stars, 18 points to 114, and Salt Hill Knocknacarra beat Corofin 117 to 115. I suppose that feels like a bit of a significant result there, because Corofin were bidding for 3 in a row in Galway, and Salt Hill Knocknacarra is Matthew's prediction for Galway, for Connacht, and for the All Ireland as well. So there was a lot on the line here for Matthew in terms of his prediction, but yeah, huge win for Salt Hill. It actually finished as a 2-point game, but I think from keeping an eye on this was fairly comfortable. Maybe got a bit nervy towards the end.
Yeah, I think it was comfortable enough for them to a large degree, and then Corofin kind of probably summoned themselves in the second half and probably woke up a small bit to get themselves back into it. Like, Salt Hill were 13 points up at halftime. Like, they absolutely dominated the entirety of the first half. They were well on top of Corofin, and it felt like a victory that was significant to them in a way. Like, and generally, when you look back on why the boys had predicted, the lads had predicted Salt Hill to win both Galway and Connacht, anyways. Never mind even the All Ireland, but to win those two, and you look at the forward line that they do have, I mean, you can completely understand. And you had Robert Finner leading the way completely, scoring 1-6 in the end. He was absolutely fantastic in this game. And yeah, it's a significant win for Salt Hill Knocknacarra now. Daniel Flaherty got 3 points. Evan Nolan got a match clinching point as well. For Corofin, yeah, Jack McCabe got 7 points. Dara Silk got 1 too. Dylan McHugh was very, very good from halfback as well. And yeah, Salt Hill are going for their first title since 2012. Yeah, they are a team who, when you do look at the forward line that they have and you look at the players that they have, like, they have a forward line, like we've mentioned so many times in this channel already, that is good enough that's a Galway Senior Football Championship, or Galway Senior full forward line, and it's a full forward line, a half forward line that would be unbelievable for any team across the country. So look, I think for them, they have to go on and win it now. Obviously, look, they're going to have a very, very tough challenge in the final, but I think looking at them and getting a big win like this over Corofin, you'd have to fancy them to go on and win it now, and especially with the way they dominated. They'll have to fix how they performed in the second half in terms of nearly letting a 13-point slip, because at the end of the day, it's 2 points between them. There's nothing in it, when you look at it from that regard. But if they can perform like they did in the first half, just for longer periods of the game the next day, then they should have no problem winning the Galway title.
Yeah, like when we mentioned before with some of the players they have, and Tom O'Cohan, Robert Finnerty, Cathal Sweeney, Daniel O'Flaherty, John Maher, like, they're absolutely stacked. Like, do you think this could be a thing where they just need to get over the line in Galway? Like, firstly, like, haven't won a Galway Senior Football Championship since 2013. But look, when you look at it, if they can get through Galway and then in Connacht, like, obviously the Sligo final went to a replay. We'll see what's going to happen there. See what happens in Mayo and some of the other teams. But like, Salt Hill will have to be considered surely as one of the contenders for the All Ireland, especially with some of the teams who have gone out of championship now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, certainly for Connacht anyway. It's sort of the thing. You can have these brilliant teams and these brilliant players, and these teams that everyone says, these lot are class, they should walk the championship, whatever. But do what it is? In a way, winning the county title is the most important thing, because then you can go into the provincial campaign. I've seen it myself with my own club. We won the title in 2012, and it's almost like you could go into the provincial campaign with not as much pressure, if you know what I mean, because you're not like, at the end of the day, your main aim at the start of the year is to win your county title, and that's that. And you can go into the provincial campaign in a way riding on the crust of a wave, and you can be super excited, you could be super on a high, and you could just go into every game with a bit of a free flow to you, and you can just express yourself to a degree. And all of a sudden, one win, you're like, okay, this is good. 2 wins, and all of a sudden you're potentially in a provincial final, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, we could actually win this here. So I think for Salt Hill, just getting over the line the next day is the most important thing. And then you certainly wouldn't be writing them off to win a Connacht title, especially when you do look at the teams that are gone out. And one of our predictions for Roscommon is going to be out the next day. We'll see what happens with Mayo. Salt Hill could be knocked out, or not Salt Hill, sorry. Cúilín could be knocked out the next day if they don't win the replay in Sligo. So yeah, it's shaping up to be a cracking Connacht Championship. It's shaping up to be a cracking Galway final. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think they need to just get over the line in Galway, and then in terms of Connacht, then anything is possible.
Absolutely, yeah. Plenty of comments flying in there for various different championships, which we'll certainly get onto. But looking at the Mayo semi-finals, Ballina, Stephen Knight's bet Knockmore, 112 to 8 points. Westport got over Crossmolina, Deal Rovers, 124 to 120 after extra time. So big result for both of them going into the final. In the Kerry Senior Football Championship, plenty of surprises there. Austin Sachs bet Kenmare Shamrocks, 119 to 15 points. But I think the big one really, Rathmore 121, East Kerry 9 points, and I know our good friend Matthew, and obviously just be on the show and everything else. He done some stats on the game, and he was saying that Rathmore outscored East Kerry 15 points to 2 in the second half. Mark Ryan striking the goal in the first half, and they never really kind of looked back after that. But yeah, really dominant victory, like 15 points to 2 in the second half. Kept David Clifford down to 5 points, I think, in total. So, yeah, some job there by Rathmore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a 14-point hammering over East Kerry is absolutely astonishing. And like you mentioned there, keeping David Clifford down to, I mean, John, if any other player scores 5 points in a game, we're lauding them. But because it's David Clifford, we're almost like, oh, that's not good. And you know what I mean? Like, he's nearly a victim of his own success. It's like Erling Haaland or Messi or something like that. I can't believe I compared those two. But like they could score 1 goal in a game, and you're thinking, oh, you should have done more or something like that. And David Clifford is just in that company at the moment, unfortunately for him. I don't think Paddy Clifford played this game. He didn't play this game. He was out. He was a big miss for East Kerry, but I don't think he'd have been turning around that type of a scoreline. You got to give great credit to Rathmore, the way they performed, and the scoreline they put up is absolutely magnificent. And yeah, look, very bad result for East Kerry considering the players that they do have at their disposal.
Yeah, like I feel like they like, because from looking at their team, I don't feel like they're as strong as previous years. Like, they've still got some inter-county players in there, like Rory Murphy, Jack Sherwood stands out as well, and of course David Clifford. But yeah, like, not having Paddy, I think, was definitely makes a huge impact in regards to that. Like, do you think they didn't win it last year? Bit of a heavy hiding here. Like, I mean, could East Kerry's kind of dominant days be over now, do you think, or do you think they'll be back in the mix maybe next year?
Well, John, whatever about losing, say, last year in the way they did, losing the way like this year could have a real knock-on effect, to be honest with you. It could do severe damage to you, to be honest with you. And especially 2 points in the second half, really isn't good enough, especially, like no matter who you're playing against or no matter what kind of situation you're in, 2 points in the second half is not good enough. So they'll be very bitterly disappointed with that. And yeah, they could be in for a tough year next year. And look, we could be wrong. This could have just been one of those days where things just didn't go right for them, and maybe they just needed the season to end. But yeah, it's certainly not a great look going into next year anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, and look, I know I've seen some people say as well, like with David Clifford, they'll keep him well rested and everything else now going into the league. So maybe that would be of a benefit. But to be fair, East Kerry are divisional side, so they would have only got 2 more games anyway. That way. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, moving forward with him in the Westmeath Senior Football Championship semi-final that took place on Saturday. Coralstown Kinnegad beat St. Lomans 120 to 116. I don't know, was that a shock? Like, St. Lomans obviously have plenty of great inter-county stars from down the years, but I don't know if a lot of those lads are still there. But it was just a result that I saw And I know St. Lomans are usually quite dominant in Westmeath. So I don't know. Was that a shock, do you think? Or
I personally wouldn't say it was a shock. You know, like it certainly, I suppose from the outside, it looks kind of crazy. But St. Lomans kind of haven't been going as good this year as they would have over the last couple of years. Like it's kind of felt like from the start of the season that the Downs would be the favourites to win the Westmeath title this year. And of course, now that they had a comfortable win today. Well, I wouldn't say comfortable, but like, you know, they had a good win over Mullingar Shamrocks today by 11 points in their semi-final. So I would still probably expect maybe the Downs to win the final. But Coorastown Kinnegad are a good team. They're coached really, really well by Jack Cooney, to be fair to him. He's an excellent coach. And yeah, listen, I think it's more, you got to give great credit. You got to give great credit to Coorastown Kinnegad. They were excellent in this game. They performed really, really well. And they got 2 big wins in the championship over Athlone and Calgary over the past couple of weeks as well. And momentum can take you on very, very far. They're a team who lost the final 2 years ago as well by 2 points as well, just by the narrowest of margins. And yeah, they'll be desperate to win the title. I think it's 1996. I could be wrong saying it, but I think it's 1996 the last time Coorastown Kinnegad won the Westmeath football title, and they've been gunning at it for the last couple of years. So they'll be desperate to win it the next day. Now it's going to be very tough against the Downs. It's going to be very, very tricky against the Downs. The Downs are a top class team with a lot of top class players, but it certainly is. It certainly is going to be an interesting final. It's one that I'm looking forward to seeing. But I suppose, look, the Lomans haven't been going as well this year. They drew their opening game against Athlone at the start of the year. I think they were like 11 points to 3 down at halftime or something like that. And you could kind of tell from that moment on, they were missing a lot of players, and they have been missing a lot of players throughout their season, a lot of household names as well. But it's still not been the Lomans of old. So I think for me personally, probably not too much of a shock, but I think they were in 10 Westmeath finals in a row or something like that before yesterday. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's the end of an era or anything like that, because look, it could just be a blip year or something like that. But it certainly feels like their kind of big reign of dominance is probably going to come to an end probably over the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter says here, John Heslin plays with Lomans. Yeah, I know they've Ronan O'Toole as well, but how involved all those lads have been, I'm not entirely sure. But Peter also says here, Kilbride won the Meath Intermediate Football Championship, had the legendary Quinn brothers on the Meath team back in the 60s. Yeah, they were junior last year as well, weren't they? So incredible stuff there from Kilbride. Also says Summerhill Meath senior football champions. Yeah, we'll get on to that big win for them. Peter says MLR will defo fancy taking Naas, especially in Mount Leinster Rangers. Mount Leinster Rangers will defo fancy taking Naas, especially in Dr. Cullen Park. Would you agree with that?
I think it's going to be a very interesting game. Naas are, you know, a top class side. Could have easily reached the Leinster final in 23 against Nafina. We're lucky not to beat them in Portlaoise to a degree. Weren't at their best last year against St. Martin's in the quarterfinals. Obviously, Mount Leinster Rangers back winning the title this year over St. Mullins, to have some top class players in their team as well, all across the pitch. I mean, Chris Nolan is a big name that stands out there. So yeah, I think it should be an interesting game. Dr. Cullen Park, we went down there last year, my own club, and it's a very tough ground to go to. Loughlin Gales went down there the year before against Mount Leinster's, and you know they were going well for a while, and then Mount Leinster pulled them into a dogfight for large majority of the second half. So Dr. Cullen Park, Carlow champions, are never an easy place to go to. So Naas will have it tough the next day, but it should make for an interesting match. And the winners of that goes on to play the winners of Wexford or Dublin. So should be some cracking Leinster semi-finals to look forward to in the hurling anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. Peter was saying here, lads, why is there a second Champo and Kerry? Is it the only county with 2 championships? Yeah, I feel like it's a question that gets asked quite regularly, to be fair. And I think it's probably better from, you know, if there was a Kerry man maybe to explain it. But my understanding of it is that there's a lot of clubs within Kerry, and they try and amalgamate a lot of the clubs to have every player to have an opportunity to play championship football. Is my understanding of it. But yeah, I think they are the only county who play 2 senior club championships. I don't know if I'm wrong on that though.
I think so. Yeah, I can't off my head if there's another one, but yeah, it's a very strange system.
Yeah, like I know Cork have the Premier and then Senior A, and Dublin have like Senior 2, but like I mean, it's not the, you know what I mean. It doesn't have any impact on the main championship, you know.
Yeah, and Kilkenny have they merged the league and the championship together. I know that, but kind of after that, I'm kind of lost to know which other counties do this 2 championship tier kind of system that Kerry do. But look, each to their own. If it works for them, it works for them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Waterford Senior Football Championship, Galter beat Rowanmore 113 to 1-3. A couple of results in the Limerick Senior Football Championship. Newcastle West beat Ballyanders 320 to 7 points. Galty Gales beat Killademo. Palace Canary 115 to 9 points. Mungress St. Paul's beat St. Kieran's 312 to 7 points. Father Casey's beat Dutton and Piershig 117 to 114. Raquel beat Ula 115 to 16 points. And then Adair got a big win there against Monaghan, 17 points to 13 points. So still very much all alive there. In Limerick, still in the early kind of stages there. London Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals. Kilburn Gales beat Brother Pierce's 17 points to 112. And St. Gabriel's beat Sean Tracy's 417 to 16 points. In the Waterford Senior Camogie final, De La Salle beat Galter 3-9 to 13 points. In the Wexford Senior Camogie final, Ulart de Bala beat St. Martin's 214 to 116. And in the Tipperary Senior Camogie semi-finals, Turles Sarsfields 522, Knockavilla 1-7. Canulty Rossmore 15 points, Drummond Inch 1-8. Any thoughts on any of those results?
I think Turles Sarsfields are licking their lips at Tipperary anyways. We'd mentioned it at the start of when we started doing this channel that they could be one of the favourites for the Munster Camogie Championship, and they're certainly making that case further and further accurate anyways. 5-22 in the semi-final is a crazy scoreline to be putting up. Great win for Ulart de Bala to win the Wexford Camogie Championship as well by a point. Seemed like a cracking game there. Even looking down at some of the other results as well, seeing Vincent's beating St. Jude's by a point in the Dublin Camogie semi-finals. Lucan Sarsfield's beating Ballyboden by 4 points. Clonkill beat Raharney in the Westmeath Camogie final, which denies Raharney the 11 in a row in Westmeath, which is absolutely insane. I couldn't believe when I saw that yesterday. So another big run ended there at the weekend as well. You had the Derry Senior Camogie final, Schlockneil 216. Swartra a goal and 7. So despite being knocked out with the football, Schlockneil did win the Camogie at least. Maybe they're like Naas, they just win everything up in Derry, don't they? every grade and every code. So fair play to them for that. Mount Leinster Rangers, much like the men, their senior Camogie team have won their final as well over Maishal 2-8 to 6 points. Knockanano 3-7, Kiltaken 4 points in the Wicklow senior Camogie final as well. So yeah, there were some very interesting finals over the weekend there. Newcastle West beat Monaghan 122 to 5 points in the Limerick Camogie final as well. Trua Clonlara 319 Fecal, Killanina 115 in the Clare Camogie semi-final. Ina Killamona 210, Scariff 1-9. So yeah, some very interesting results there across the day on Saturday as well. You had Ballynav 5-4, Road 2-4 in the Leinster Intermediate LGFA excuse me, preliminary quarterfinals. This is one scoreline that is absolutely mental. Scrine 9-14, Fina no score. That's
yeah.
I think you pointed out yesterday. That is insane.
Yeah, that's absolutely mental, isn't it? Like, I don't know the whole ins and outs in regards to that. Yeah, but Jesus, yeah, like 9-14 to 0. Like, how does that even? I remember I was looking on Twitter to see if that was actually even real as well, and I was looking at some of like none of the clubs even posted the score. I feel like maybe they were just like, you know what, there's going to be backlash here either way, so let's just not mention it.
Yeah, probably so, and that's probably fair enough. But you'd wonder how. I'm just like, I don't know how that happens. Do you know? Like, I remember seeing Armagh. I can't remember who it was they were playing during the summer in the Camogie Junior Championship, and they put 7. I think it could have been, no, it wasn't Wicklow. I can't remember who it was they were playing, but they put 7:37 past someone, and the other crowd got 0. And I thought that was crazy. This is yeah. You got to feel bad for Fina, though. Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, it's definitely yeah. I mean, like, Jesus, yeah, to be end up scoring 0. Like, I mean, I nearly wonder, was it just a forfeit or something? Did the game even happen? I don't even know. But yeah, I don't know. If anyone has any backstory to that, do feel free to let us know, in fairness, because a bit of a mad one there. In fairness, but looking at the games on Sunday, and obviously loads to kind of go through here. I suppose we'll start with the Donegal final. Niamh Connell 218, Guidor 119. This was live on TG Cahir. I was watching this game. I think Guidor will be absolutely kicking themselves, to be honest with you, because there were 2 points up going into injury time of normal time. They actually had 2 chances. One of them a fairly straightforward chance from a substitute who came off the bench. This would have been to make it 3 points, and probably you'd imagine that would have been that, because the 2-pointer that Niamh Connell scored a couple of minutes later, they would have had to get another score and they wouldn't have had time. So they'll be absolutely kicking themselves. Niamh Connell got a late 2-pointer right at the death, and then in extra time they really took over from there. They were dominant in the first half of extra time. Guidor couldn't even get their hands on the ball at all. They were losing every kick out. And then in the second half, they started to come back into it. Ethan Harkin was very impressive. He scored some brilliant 2-pointers for Guidor. In fairness, Darragh O'Beal was very good as well. But Niamh Connell come through a second title in 3 years. So big moment for them to get over the line. But geez, yeah, Guidor will be absolutely kicking themselves, because this was a game that they led for the vast majority as well.
Yeah, they'll absolutely be kicking themselves as well. Shane Malone had a I could read, I'm reading here, had a big moment in the game as well. He scored a stunning 2-pointer and added time to force extra time, I believe, and he finished with 1-2 overall. And yeah, I was watching some bits of extra time as well, and yeah, Niamh Connell were just absolutely fantastic. They never looked like really losing the game in extra time, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it's brilliant for them. I think that's 8 titles they've won in 13 years as well, or 8 titles in 13 that they've won over the last 20 years as well, which is a phenomenal record, to be fair. And yeah, listen, would you be fancying them potentially as a dark horse maybe for Ulster? Or
there could be, yeah, because like we'll get on to Derry in a moment. Like Derry's kind of blown wide open now with Mahra Felton, obviously Sean O'Leary's in there. You're looking at Armagh, it's gonna be huge celebrations whoever comes through that. And usually, like if you win a county title for the first time in your history, or you end a long drought, there's a huge amount of celebrations. There's a Monday club, there's a Tuesday club, it goes on to the following Monday nearly. It's a week-long club. So trying to pick yourselves back up to then go in Ulster is very, very hard thing to do. And you're going to have Dunloy in there as well. We'll get onto them in a moment. So a lot of new teams potentially coming in. Like Scottstown, I think, will be, for me, looking at it, probably I would say right now the favourites, potentially, just because they got a big win today, and we'll get onto that. But I know they haven't come through Ulster, and that's going to be the big thing for them over the last couple of years. But they have what it takes to come through Monaghan, and they'll be playing Inniskeen in the final. But they have what it takes to come through Monaghan. They've been there and done it in terms of winning big games in Ulster in the past. So I'd be looking at them probably right now as the slight favourites. But Niamh Connell, you can't sleep on them with Finbar Rorty in there, who was even saying as well in his post-match interview, was saying, everyone was kind of writing them off, kind of doing the stereotypical kind of, full-time speech. Whether they were or they weren't, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, look, they'll 100% be there. There's no question.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what it is? It makes for a cracking Ulster Championship as well, that there is a lot of new teams in it as well, or teams that say we haven't seen for a while, or teams that are new to it, whatever. And it kind of makes it better, and it just shows you at times maybe the inter-county scene can be a small bit predictable at times, but the club championship is anything but. It's so crazy, the results that you get from it. The favourites a lot of the time in these championships often falter, and I think it has the makings now of a really intriguing Ulster club championship. If it's anything to go by what the Intercounty Ulster Football Championship is like, then I think we could be in for a cracking couple of weeks in November.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I might have missed the Derry Championship game from Saturday, but it was a Mahra Felt 4-15, Glen 1-14, and then the game today, Sean O'Leary's Newbridge 21 points, Slot Neil 1-16. So Matthew's kind of Ulster prediction there goes out the window with Slot Neil, and yeah, massive results as well from Mahra Felt. Very, very dominant. They were 2-12 to 7 points up at half time. Conal Higgins scoring 2 goals in the first half. Conor McCluskey then gets a goal as well after Glen had started to kind of pick up some momentum with the likes of Alex Doherty, Emmett Bradley, and Danny Talon all getting key points. But Zach Gavigan then with a goal in the second half as well. So very, very dominant stuff there from Mahara Felt. And yeah, it felt like for a while there it was either Glen or Slot Neal. Like they were the two dominant sides in Ulster. You know, whoever won that clash would come through. But here they are, both getting knocked out in the semi-final. So Derry is blown wide open. I suppose a bit like what it was like last year as well.
Yeah, and it's brilliant to see. Obviously not from Schlockneil or Wattie's or Glenn's perspective anyway, but it's brilliant to see that there's again just two finals that two teams in the final that maybe at the start of the year a lot of people may not have predicted, or at least for the two of them to be in the final may not have predicted it. But that's a big beat for Glen as well, 4-15 to 114, considering they were All Ireland champions there a couple of years ago and they were beaten in the final by Kilmacud Crokes as well. So yeah, that'd be a tough one for them to take. Schlockneil losing by 2 points in their semi-final there today as well. You know, big results. Mahara Feld putting up 4-15 against a team like Glen is a very, very good going, to be honest with you. You had Conal Higgins, like you mentioned, getting 2 first half goals, Conor McCluskey, Zach Gavigan. Like, there's a lot of top class quality players on Mahara Feld's team, and they'll take a good beating in the final against Newbridge. But at the same time, Newbridge taking down Schlockneil is a big statement as well. And yeah, should be a cracking final in Celtic Park in a couple of weeks' time.
Absolutely, yeah. And in the Kilkenny Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals, O'Loughlin Gales got the better of Mulnavat 120 to 216. Big result there. And Ballyhale Shamrocks 21 points to 116. So I mean, 2 big results there. Ballyhale and O'Loughlin Gales in the final. That's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, and games weren't without controversy. Well, I wouldn't say controversy, but drama. Anyways, I was keeping up to date with these games. While I was at the Offaly Camogie final, and John, it is. I think from my perspective, I was kind of hoping it'd be a Dixborough Mulnavat final, to be honest with you. But no, we've got Ballyhale and O'Loughlin Gales again, which should be a cracking final. Really looking forward to seeing it. Obviously, a repeat of the 23 final. But yeah, it's the third time in 5 years they're going to be meeting each other. O'Loughlin Gales, a point win over Mulnavat. They were dominant for kind of most of the game, to be honest with you, but they kind of just still scraped through. There was a first half penalty from John Walsh that gave Mulnavat a big boost, but Owen Wall got a goal shortly after that to turn the momentum. They led by 5 at half time. Mick Malone's second half goal brought Mulnavat right back in it. And I'll be honest with you, it was kind of like Mulnavat get a score, O'Loughlin's get a score, Mulnavat get a score, O'Loughlin Gales get a score. So it kind of felt like the whole time O'Loughlin Gales still were the team in momentum, but John Walsh nearly forced extra time in the end. His 21-yard free went over the bar instead of just slightly under. And it was just an unfortunate end for Mulnavat to be kicking themselves, thinking that a glorious opportunity has passed them by. But Dixborough will be absolutely gutted to have lost to Ballyhale Shamrocks. 2 points, they lost out. Dean Mason pulled off an absolute heroic save at the end to keep his side in front. Absolute one of the best saves I've seen in a long time, to be honest with you. At that moment of the game, the ball hit at him at about 100 mile an hour and he kept it out. Absolutely insane. And then there was a goal that was put in by a Dixborough player. I can't remember who exactly it was, but it was a square ball, 61st, 62nd, 63rd minute, square ball in the back of the net. Heartbreaking moment for Dixborough, inches away from causing a big shock and knocking arguably the greatest hurling team of all time out of the Kilkenny Championship. But yeah, we got what almost turned into a final that nobody could have seen coming before the start of the day has turned into the final that everybody saw coming. So, but yeah, no, TJ Reid was instrumental again, caught a lot of great ball. Adrian Mullen is coming back into great form at the moment, and he got a couple of scores as well. So yeah, cracking final to look forward to. I believe the final's in 2 weeks' time, and yeah, I suppose if we were to get over Shinrone next weekend, we'll be heading to Nolan Park to face one of these teams, and yeah, should be a cracking battle. Looking forward to the Kilkenny final now.
Yeah, like looking at these two now, obviously provided you'd obviously have to win your own final, but how would you be feeling going up against either Ballyhale or O'Loughlin Gales? Like, is there one you'd nearly rather face, or is that, like, I mean, they're both top quality teams. Like, I don't want to be disrespectful to either one of them, obviously, but is there any side there you'd rather face from a Kilcormac Clocky kind of point of view?
John, it is. We've played the two of them before. We should have bet Ballyhale in 2014. That was the last time we played them in the Leinster final. We just missed too many chances on that day, and they had us in extra time. And then against O'Loughlin Gales 2 years ago, I think just over the 60 minutes, we weren't, well, the first half mostly, we kind of let ourselves down a bit, and we tried to pull back a bit in the second half, but they just defended really, really well. So I wouldn't mind a crack at either one of them again, just to try and right the wrongs of before. But it doesn't matter. Look, if we get over next weekend, because Jesus, I'm certainly not taking Shinrone for granted. Shinrone could turn up next Sunday and beat us. And again, I'd probably fancy Ballyhale or O'Loughlin Gales maybe to beat Shinrone, but at the same time, Shinrone are a team that they went into the Leinster Championship a couple of years ago after beating us, and they maybe weren't as, I wouldn't say not taking it seriously, but when you win your first title, you may be trying to, like you mentioned, they're trying to get yourself motivated to go back into the provincial championship or whatever, get yourself motivated to keep going again for another couple of weeks and all that after landing your first title. I feel like this time around, if they were to beat us, they'd go into it with a bit of a different attitude. And they'd certainly relish going down to Nolan Park anyways with some of the players that they do have. So look, for me, we get over Shinrone next week. I don't mind who we play because it's going to be a tough battle either way. You're going to have to either put up with a savage attack and defense of Ballyhale, or you're going to have to put up with a very stern and stubborn defense of O'Loughlin Gales, who can hit you on the counter-attack as well with some cracking points as well in the attack. So look, either way, it'd be tough for either us or Shinrone, but I think maybe to a degree, maybe O'Loughlin Gales, just because we played them more recently than Ballyhale. Obviously, a lot of players, big turnaround for Ballyhale to a degree than the players maybe they had 10 years ago, 11 years ago when we played them. But yeah, either way, I think it'd be a difficult quarter final for us or Shinrone either way.
Yeah, looking at the Tipperary Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals, Nina Aerogue 120, Drummond Inch 112. So sets up a Nina Aerogue versus Lockmore Castellini final. Nina Aerogue, they're the favourites, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Possibly. They put in a real dominant performance today. They were very, very good. Sam O'Farrell scored 9 points and he dictated the play a lot. He's a player that I'm really a big fan of. I think he's going to have a big career ahead of him. Ben West's goal with 20 minutes to go kind of put the final nail in the coffin, and I suppose they were able to sort of relax coming down the home stretch. But at the same time, I was watching Lockmore Castellini yesterday in their game against Holy Cross Ballycahill. I'll admit it wasn't the best game in the world to watch. Holy Cross did miss a lot of chances, but I never got the sense that Lockmore were going to lose the game. So they do have that sort of comfortable side to them to a degree. And look, Lockmore won the title last year. They know what it takes to get over the line in these types of games. They're on a brilliant run at the moment, above the hurling and the football in both codes. But Nina Aerogue, yeah, they're going for the first title, and I think in 30 years. And when you have players in your team as well, like Jake Morris as well, you're obviously going to be very hard to beat. But yeah, it's hard to know. I think it sets up a very, very good final. I think we could be in for a cracking final between the two sides. I might still fancy Lockmore maybe to get over the line, just because they have more players in their team that have the experience of getting over the line in these types of games, and they can ride these games out. They have a very good defense as well. They only conceded 15 points yesterday. But having said that, Holy Cross Ballycahill did miss a lot of chances yesterday, which you give Sam O'Farrell or you give the Heffernans or you give Jake Morris the chances that some of the chances that Ballycahill had yesterday, then potentially they could be the ones to take down Lockmore. But I think it should be a cracking final. But I'd probably still slightly edge it to the McGraths and Castellini at the moment.
Yeah. Like they're an incredible club, like Lockmore Castellini. I mean, the fact they keep going, like even both football and hurling, like I'm not too sure how big of a club it is in terms of size and everything else, but like when you're being able to do, like we're talking about, like super clubs, the likes of Naas, the likes of Kilmuckle, Crokes, Cúilín, Ballybowden and in Dublin, clubs who have like huge members, huge resources and everything else. But Lockmore Castellini, I don't know if they're like, I know they have a lot of players who are the same in both. So it is quite incredible, really. Like I don't know how they managed to keep going, especially when you've John McGrath still going there, like still going strong about football hurling. Like I mean, after winning the All Ireland and being hurler of the year, like as his legs. What does he eat for breakfast, Liam? I'd love to know.
I'd certainly love to know. He's an absolute freak of nature. Like he's probably going to win hurler of the year, and I mean, he could win Tipperary hurler and footballer of the year by the end of the year. Do you know what I mean? He's just an absolute freak of nature. But I don't think Lockmore is as big maybe as like other places in Tipperary. I don't think. I could be wrong. My geography of it isn't great, which it sounds terrible considering my club's coach is a Lockmore Castellini man. I should know that by this stage. But yeah, no, look, what they're doing regardless from a dual club's perspective is absolutely sensational. And yeah, if they could do the double again this year in Tipperary, then they'd certainly have to go down potentially as the greatest achievement of all time in Tipperary Gaelic games anyways.
Yeah, and the Kerry Senior Football Championship quarterfinals, the other two quarterfinals were Mid Kerry 128, Spa 2-9, Dingle 116, West Kerry 13 points. So it definitely feels wide open in Kerry. Dingle won it a couple of years ago, I think, though, so they might be maybe slight favourites at this moment in time. The Meath Senior Football Championship final, Summerhill bet Rathout 16 points to 13. And in the Cork Premier Senior Football Championship semi-finals, Nemo Rangers got the better of Newcestown 214 to 19 points after extra time, and St. Finbarr's bet Ballincollig 213 to 110. So I know Matthew was kind of leaving some comments earlier in the group saying that like the shock was on. I think Newcestown were 7 points up at one stage in the second half, and Nemo dug deep. And you know, like when you look back at it, like you need those type of wins. I think in a championship, all the best teams have had those games. I remember Crokes had one against Raheny. I think the year they went on to, I think they reached the All-Ireland final that year. But all the top teams have these games where they're heavy favourites. They're coming up against a team who've done really well, but are, you know, underdogs and not really fancied, and you have to dig deep and kind of come through it. So massive result for Nemo in regards to that, and yeah, sets up a blockbuster final against the Bars.
Yeah, it sets up a cracking final. I thought I actually thought Newcestown had this game won when I saw Matthew's message earlier, and then you see the result and you're like, that's a shame for them. But I suppose, look, I think didn't Matthew predict Nemo Rangers to win the Cork and the Munster title? I think so. I think his prediction is still alive, anyways. But yeah, like you mentioned there, a lot of these top class clubs, they need these types of games to, you know, and it kind of sets them up nicely. You don't want to go into a final off the back of a comfortable semi-final to a degree. You know, you'd rather have a game that goes right down to the wire so that you're really into championship action and really up to scratch as well. But yeah, 15-8 down in the early stages of the second half. Things weren't looking good for them. Kieran Histon goal sparked a bit of a revival, and then Kevin Fulignati, I hope I pronounced that right, drew the game level as well. They went to extra time. Luke Horgan equalised in the second period of extra time, and then Mark Cronin's 9 points sealed it for Nemo. Mark Cronin, a terrific player for Cork, one of Cork's best footballers. So yeah, it's a shame for Newcestown. They had chances to equalise late on, but they just weren't able to get there in the end, which is unfortunate for them. I think Mark Cronin ended the game with 9 points, and look, he stepped up massively for them. So congratulations to the Nemo Rangers. They're into the Cork final again, and they should look forward to the final in a couple of weeks' time. And of course, like I mentioned, they're going to be facing off against St. Finbarr's. Obviously, they lost to Hurling last weekend, which was unfortunate for them. But you know, they're into the football finals, so they're clearly doing something right anyway. And that stretch of the imagination. But yeah, a good win over Ballincollig, 213 to 110, and it sets up a really, really interesting Cork football final. You'd probably maybe still would fancy Nemo Rangers just with the experience that they have and what they've gone through over the last couple of years. But you certainly wouldn't be writing off St. Finbarr's anyways. They seem like a team that could really, really do damage, especially when you have Brian Hayes as well, who's not only a brilliant hurler, but a brilliant footballer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, some big talking points there, there's no doubt. But moving on from that, there were certainly some other interesting results there as well. And the Dublin Hurling Championship, Luke and Sarsfields bet Ballyboat St. Enders 121 to 117. And Afina got the better of Cúilín Crokes 222 to 17 points. So I suppose firstly, big result for Lucan. There were 16 points to 7 up at half time. Ben Coffey was very impressive, scored 111. Really, really impressive performance from him. Paul Crummy, I thought, was outstanding as well. So yeah, huge win there for Lucan. Afina Crokes, I was watching this kind of whilst also I had the TG Caher on watching the Donegal final. And it's interesting, like you'd look at the scoreline of this and think, geez, and Afina must have absolutely blown them away. But actually, up until the final, like 10, 12, 15 minutes, it was actually quite close. And he felt like it could go either way. But back-to-back goals, Brian Ryan getting one of them, and Afina just stormed Crokes going down the home stretch. So yeah, Afina, Lucan final. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I suppose Chemical Crokes must be absolutely sick of the sight of Afina after the last week, to be honest with you. They must be sick of the sight of him after the last 12 months, to be honest with you. Look, I think Afina are showing that they're absolutely on they're on the hunt to try and go back to back in both in Dublin, in Leinster, and potentially All Ireland as well. It doesn't seem to make a difference that Neil O'Callaghan is gone from them. He's the foundations that he's laid there seems to be working really, really well still. You know, to beat Kilmacud Crokes by 11 points is really, really good going. Look, when you have to be fair, when you have players in your team like the Donald Burks, like the Colin Currys, Sean Curry, who I think is one of the most underrated hurlers in the country, and you saw it last year in the club championship, saw it this year with the Dublin hurlers. He's one of the best hurlers in the country, in my opinion. And, you know, when he's on form, he's really, really on form. He's really, really pacey, great at turning inside you as well. AJ Murphy, I was kind of surprised he didn't get more minutes with Dublin this year in the hurling. Do you think he'll get more minutes next year? Or
I think he has to, yeah. Like, he's been a player that I think a lot of Dublin fans have been calling for the last couple of years. I know last year went quite well with Dublin and everything else, like with how well we did get into the All-Ireland semi-finals, but I think having him even as an option coming off the bench or something like that, like having him like or even starting as well, like I think you have to get him involved.
Yeah, like I remember kind of watching him a lot more closely last year, obviously with us being in it. And like, look, Sean Curry was unbelievable against us in the Leinster final last year, but AJ Murphy for me was absolutely sensational. Like he did cause our full back line a lot of issues last year. Like the way he took the second goal in that game just after we had scored a goal to bring it back to a point, just showed his composure and his willingness and his tenacity as well. He was really, really frightening to play against last year. And then you saw him in the All-Ireland final against Sarsfields. Like, he eats, sleeps and breathes points. You know, he was absolutely unbelievable. The point he got to win it against Loughrea last year. Like, I remember going to the Dublin Offaly game in the championship at the start of the year, and I was thinking to myself, how was he not starting? You know, I was very, very surprised that he wasn't starting, especially with Niall O'Callaghan as the manager as well. I thought he might have given him the edge. But yeah, I think if Dublin want to go to the next level next year and continue building as well, I think he needs to be a starter next year. Now, look, I don't know the inside and outs, and look, there might be other players as well that Niall O'Callaghan prefers instead. But watching him the few times I have, I think he's absolutely excellent. I think he should be able to break into the Dublin team next year if given a proper chance. But yeah, great win for Nafina. Probably would fancy them to win the championship now. No disrespect to Luke and Sarsfield's a great win for them, obviously, and seemed pretty convincing by halftime, beating Ballybone and St. Enda's. But I would probably still fancy Nafina to go on and win the Dublin title, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, I think it'd be great to see Lucan do it. Like, they've never won the Dublin Hurling Championship before. It's their first final since 2013 as well. So, great to see them there, and everything else. And as I've said on previous shows, like, you kind of have like the Dublin Championships in football, hurling, even in ladies football as well. It's kind of the same teams a lot of the time who are getting there. So it would be nice to see Lucan kind of break that threshold. But yeah, and I do agree with you as well. I think AJ Murphy's such a skillful hurler, really. With Nafina, I think he has to get more of a look in for Dublin next season. Peter does have a question for you here. Liam, are you going to do a preview for the Offaly final on the Faithful Pod?
Yeah, plan for the week would be going to try and get a review out of the Offaly football semi-finals, which we'll come on to in a while. Going to try and get a review out of those games that happened today, maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, just depending on when I can get them out due to work and all that. And then, yeah, later on the week, if not Thursday, if not Friday, by Saturday. I'm really planning it out, as you can tell. But yeah, certainly by Saturday anyway, Saturday morning, there'll be a video out. Looking forward to the Offaly hurling final next weekend. Unbiased as well, I do promise. But yeah, no, looking forward to it next weekend. But yeah, stay tuned to the Faithful podcast during the week. We'll have a preview for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would it not be tricky previewing Kilcormac Lockheed like in the fight? Do you know what I mean? I suppose, yeah, like, fair play to you if you do stay biased.
Look, do you know what it is? You'd love to be biased, but at the same time, look, I also respect the teams that we play against, and look, I have a lot of friends on the Shinrone team as well. I get on with a lot of them as well, and I know that they're a very, very tough team. And look, especially when you go into the jobs that we're in, you got to take your unbiased hat off at times. Now, look, if we win next week, then obviously I'll be ecstatic or whatever. But look, if we lose it as well, I'd have to just hold my hands up and say, look, fair enough, Shinrone won it. Obviously be doing that meme of like your man who's smiling but underneath he's crying. That'll be me next week. Yeah. But no, look, I'm going to be as unbiased as I possibly can. Look, I still think we will. Spoiler alert! I still think we will probably win the final. But like, if anyone's expecting me to be saying that we're going to win it by 15, 20, 25 points or have it wrapped up by halftime, then it's certainly not the case. I think it'll be a final that will go down to definitely the final stretch anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. Owen says here, hey lads, how's it going? Can I wish my own club Camross in the Laois Senior Hurling Championship final next week? Yeah, best of luck, Owen, in regards to that one for Camross. Looking at the Wexford Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals, Rathnure beat Navein at 21 points to 115, and St. Martin's got the better of Fair and St. Aidan's 122 to 39. In the Monaghan Senior Football Championship semi-finals, Scottstown beat Clontibra 215 to 112, and Inniskeen got the better of Mahraclone 23 points to 12 points there. And then looking through a couple of different finals, so in the Cavan football final, Kings Court Stars beat Gowna 216 to 13. So they're Cavan champions once again. In the Laois final, as we were saying, kind of a little bit earlier, Port Arlington 115, Courtwood 212. That goes to a replay. And then this one goes to a replay as well in the Sligo final. Coolera Strandhill 313, Shamrock Gales 216. Sounds like an absolute cracker of a game. I've seen that Shamrock Gales were actually 5 points down in injury time, and they had a penalty that they actually had to retake as well, apparently. And then they got a late 2-pointer, I think, after that. So yeah, sounds like a bit of a mad game there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Cúilín would be kicking themselves that they have to go to a replay, to be honest with you. I was listening to manager afterwards. I think it was Cúilín manager on News Talk after the on the way home from the Camogie finals earlier, and to hear penalty retaken and to hear 2-pointer at the end and 5 points up in injury time, you must be just sick, not seeing the game out. But look, it sets us up for another cracking final as well, and it sounded like a cracking game, like you mentioned there, 313 to 216, and I think there was 2 2-pointers from Cúilín and 3 2-pointers from Shamrock Gales. So great to see the 2-pointers being kicked by both sides as well. David Quinn scored 1-8 for Shamrock Gales. Niall Murphy scored 6 points for Cúilín. Keelan Hart, for the Cúilín goalkeeper, made some brilliant saves throughout the game as well. I'm not sure when the replay is. I'm not sure if it's next weekend or the weekend after. I'm not 100% sure, but certainly one to look forward to. And could put a lot of teams as well across Connacht on a bit of a standstill now, thinking, right, well, we know that the reigning champions from Connacht last year are beatable and we can get at them, but should make for a cracking Sligo replay final.
Absolutely, yeah. And in the Clare final, Aero Guinness have done the double. They beat Joseph's Dora Bearfield at 116 to 26. So the first time they've done the double in 96 years there, I believe. So incredible achievement for them. In the Antrim final, Dunloy beat Carrigan 312 to 28. I was watching this game as well on TG Cahir. Very dominant, really, from Dunloy. It was never really in doubt. To be honest with you, it was a bit slow kind of in the opening 20 minutes. There wasn't really much happening. I think the second half of the game kind of really did come to life. Sean Elliott in particular was outstanding, scoring 1-8. So yeah, congratulations to Dunloy there. In Longford, Kilo, Young Emmets bet Comkill 2-9 to 111. So they're Longford champions. And then the Offaly semi-finals for Ban, 319, Edenderry 11 points, and then Tullamore 118, Road 211. So yeah, Liam, your thoughts on those semi-finals?
Yeah, I suppose the Forban Edenderry one is a big shock to me, just because I thought this was going to be a 50-50 game. Edenderry coming into this game were off the back of a really solid group stage, 3 wins and a draw, which included a big comeback they made against Forban as well, which Forban would have been kicking themselves that day and letting that game slip. And I suppose Forban, there'd have been a lot of those lads would have been hurling with Belmont last weekend against Shinrone, and they lost the hurling semi-final. So it was going to be interesting to see the response from them. They were nearly knocked out by Shamrocks the last day. They got a late goal in the last minute to seal the win. Jack Clancy got a hat-trick that day. So it was kind of interesting coming into this game thinking, right, we're going to have a 50-50 game. I think Edenderry might have been the favourites going into this game potentially, or slight favourites. But what turned out instead of a close contest turned into an absolute one-sided affair. And for the third year in a row, we're going to have a Forban versus Tullamore Offaly football final, which will be very interesting because last year there was a lot of controversy around the way that match ended. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. But yeah, Cian Johnson, Cottle Flynn got a combined 112 between them. Paddy Clancy got a cracking opening goal for Forban. So yeah, they advanced to the final now in 2 weeks' time. It's a fantastic win for them. They were really, really excellent. In the second half. So big congratulations for Ban. Tullamore probably didn't have it as easy as they thought they would, maybe to a degree against Road. But Road they're one of those clubs, obviously, that they've won it so many times that when they get to a semi-final, they may not be performing to their best throughout the season, but when they get a semi-final, then they smell a championship right around the corner. But it just wasn't to be for them in the end. I know Cormac Eakin got a cracking goal for Tullamore around the start of the second half, or about 10 minutes into the second half, which was unbelievable. And his stock is just going up and up and up over the last couple of years. Harry Plunkett got 6 points. Dermot Egan got 3 points. Aaron Cúilín got the game going with a goal early on. Roy McNamee, I don't know if you've seen his goal online. It was towards the end. There was 7 points in it and ended up being the last score. Or I think, no, it wasn't the last score of the game, but it was one of the last scores of the game. Or it could have actually been the last score. I'm not sure. But it was one of the best goals I've ever seen in my life in football. Genuinely, I'd recommend having a look at it. It was absolutely a cracking goal. Nearly, like, when you're like the goal is good when you're 7 points down in the game and yet the commentator is still getting excited, and the game is over, but he's still absolutely going mad about it. But
just looking over here, actually,
it's
Jesus,
I don't know how he just does it so casually as well. Like, I don't know how he does it, but great win for Tullamore.
Wow,
yeah.
Jesus, like the amount of bodies around them as well, and to pick it out, like, and like, it definitely intentional as well, because like low drives it low, like, do you know what I mean? Like, incredible,
no, he fully meant that. But look, great win for Tullamore regardless. They're back into the final, going for 3 in a row. For Ban in the final for a third year in a row. Should be a good final. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to the drama unfolding as well. But congrats to Tullamore and for Ban. Looking forward to the final now in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 2 big games in Tyrone as well. Loch McCrory and Carrickmore finishes the draw, 19 points to 116. So I think that's going to I think that's going to a replay. And then, unfortunately, for your All-Ireland prediction, Liam, Errigo Kieran got beaten by Trillick, so 113 to 111. James did say here, fair play, Trillick. Hope they do it for Jody. But incredible result there for Trillick, getting over the line, and Errigo Kieran's stranglehold in Tyrone is broken.
Yeah, if of all the teams I thought could have done back-to-back in Tyrone, I thought it was going to be Errigo Kieran. Just a record they've posed over the last couple of years, and I thought they were so good, and well, not in the first half, but I thought in the second half last year, the All-Ireland final, they were so good, and the way they played football last year, you look at the players that they have as well. I mean, the Canavins, to name a few. So, it's an unfortunate end for them. Look, Trillick is always a very, very tricky side to take down, and Errigo Kieran know that more than anybody. But that's me, Seamus. Prediction for Ulster gone. That's Matthew's gone. Yours is gone. So clearly, we just don't know anything about Ulster football, do we?
Can we if we were to do our predictions again, like who would you I think I'd go with Scottstown, but who would you pick at this moment?
Yeah, maybe Scottstown or do you know what? Naomh Conaill could pose a surprise, they could potentially pose a surprise. Excuse me. Potentially don't write off Dunloy maybe either from Antrim. Potentially,
or even Trillick potentially as well, or whoever comes through Tyrone. Like, we shouldn't discount them either.
No, absolutely no. I think, I probably Scottstown probably should be the favourites now, you'd imagine. But look, as we've seen plenty over this weekend, we'll see it over next weekend. We'll see it. We saw it the weekend previous that the club championship doesn't follow scripts, so we could see a winner out of absolutely nowhere over the next couple of weeks. The Cavan champions, who won again was the King's Court won it. They could go on and win it. So I think it's going to be a very interesting Ulster championship.
Absolutely, yeah. In the Louth Senior Football Championship semi-finals, Newtown Blues bet Dreadnoughts 18 points to 16. The Downs got the better of Mullingar as well, 120 to 1-9. In the Leitrim Senior Football Championship semi-final replay, Ballinamore, Sean O'Heslands beat Fina St. Collins 213 to 10 points. In the Carlow semi-final replays, Rathvilly bet Bagnallstown Gales 122 to 1-8. And Waterford Senior Football Championship semi-final, Abbeyside Balnacorty got the better of Kilrasanti 213 to 14 points. And then, we were mentioning there, Naas winning the Kildare Senior Hurling Championship final 315 to 16 points, 7 in a row now in Kildare. Like, it'd be interesting, like, because over the last couple of years, I felt like Naas are a team that they could maybe do something in Leinster. They could maybe cause a scalp or cause a shock. And now they've had a few kind of near misses here and there, but I feel like they are a team that you know, like we'll obviously see what happens in the Dublin final and the Kilkenny final, and those two will be the favourites, maybe along with yourselves if you get through. But like I feel like Naas, they're quietly kind of there, aren't they?
No, they absolutely are. Like I was actually, it wasn't really a surprise last year to see St. Martin's beating them. It was just more the way Naas went out, because the year before, like they'd who was it they knocked out in the quarterfinals 2 years ago? I can't think off the top of my head. I think it was Camross they knocked out 2 years ago in Laois, and that was a big win for them. And they knocked out Shinrone the year before at home. They played Ballyhale Shamrocks at Croke Park and put up a decent performance against them as well in the Leinster semi-final. And I just felt like their performance last year against St. Martin's, especially at home, didn't reflect them really as a team. And I felt they would have had major regrets about that. I think they could have given Nafina a run for their money last year as well. Again, up in Dublin, much like St. Martin's did. So yeah, look, and they'll have obviously regrets about losing to Cúilín last year as well in the football. They've had some near misses in the football over the last couple of years. So yeah, look, I would absolutely fancy them against Mount Leinster Rangers. I'd fancy Mount Leinster Rangers as well. I think it's very much a 50-50 game. And when you've got players in your team like your Jack Sheridans in your team who can score from absolutely anywhere and was absolutely unbelievable this season for Kildare, when you've Farron O'Sullivan in your team as well, Killian Harrington as well, who got the goals, Brian Burns, you know, these types of players, Keane, the Borans as well. They've got a lot of top class players in their team. So look, they're a team that for me are absolutely contenders for the Leinster Hurling Championship. I think the Leinster Hurling Club Championship anyways, I feel like every team in it has a reason to say that they can win it, and Naas certainly have that case that say that they can certainly challenge. I'm not sure whether, I think they are away to Wexford or away to the Dublin champions. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head now. But yeah, listen, if they were to get over Mount Leinster Rangers, then absolutely don't write them off towards even reaching the Leinster final anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like I think they're building. There's no question about that. Like, and even in football as well, you know, I think they're definitely kind of dark horses going into Leinster as well. Just running through some of the other games then. So taking a look at where were we? The Down Senior Hurling Championship semi-final. St. Pat's beat Breda 131-110. Ballygolga got the better of Ballycran 3-18-213. So two big results there. In the Wicklow final, Wicklow Hurling final, Carnew Emmets got the better of Bray Emmets 16 points to 2-8. So they avenged their the football final loss last week. The Cork Camogie final, St. Finbarrs beat St. Catherine's 9 points. In the Galway Camogie final, or in the Galway Senior LGFA final, Kilkerran Clonberne with a big win there, 2-16 to 6 points. And in the Kerry Senior LGFA final, Southern Gales 3-12 and the Gale 3-6. So big results there, I suppose. Yeah, Kilkerran Clonberne, you were probably expecting that. But any thoughts on any of the other ones there?
Yeah, no, I suppose no surprise from Clonberne there. Anyways, big performance there. They're still probably the strongest side in Ireland, to be honest, more than anything. So, but yeah, look, great win for them to win the Galway Championship again. Southern Gales winning the Kerry Championship, great win for them as well. St. Finbarrs, comfortable enough looking result there against St. Catherine's as well in Cork. So congratulations to them there. A great day from their perspective in football. Anyways, looking at some of the other results as well. Westport 113, Knockmore 110 in the Mayo Senior LGFA final. In the Ulster Senior LGFA preliminary quarter final, Lurgan 218, Steelstown's Brian Oakes 5 points. The Offaly Senior Camogie final, which took place today, I was at this game. Burr 310, Shinrone, or Burr 318, beg your pardon, Shinrone 110. Sarah Harding at full forward scored 3 goals. She was absolutely outstanding in this game for Burr. She was fantastic. She could have had 5 or 6 goals, to be honest. She was outstanding throughout the game. And Burr had some other fantastic performers across the pitch as well. In Kinsella, the Russian Kinsella centre back was absolutely outstanding. Had a big season for Offaly as well. Hannah Murphy was very good at wing back as well. So yeah, it's Burr's 3rd title in 4 years. Shinrone's wait for a title since 2016 goes on for another year, unfortunately for them. Lockheed Shamrocks 411, Dunloy 117 in the Antrim Senior Camogie final. Nafina 21 points, Kiltale 3 points, and Kilmessan 517. Cúilín 8 points in the Meath Senior Camogie semi-final as well. And I'm even referencing yesterday as well, Port beat St. Connet's in the Laois Gaelic football final as well, in the ladies football final yesterday as well. So yeah, no, a cracking weekend of games. And yeah, some big results there. So yeah, Jesus, I don't know how we've got through all this, but we have. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I think we did well to get all that done in an hour and 10 minutes. To be fair, but yeah, no, do let us know in the comments as well. Any of your thoughts in terms of like a club moment of the week? Like, is there kind of like a best moment of the week? Do you think if we had to pick one out?
Well, certainly not any of our clubs going out in Ulster. I don't think we should pick any of those, to be honest with you. John, it is the Cúilín Strand Hill, I suppose, meltdown at the end, like 5 points up in a county final in stoppage time, and you let it slip, and you have a penalty taken again. That's a dramatic moment to a degree. Was it Ray Mason's free, or Lee Mason's save at the end for Ballyhale Shamrocks, which I saw earlier today, was a big moment as well. Prevented Dixborough from reaching the final. I suppose to a degree, from my perspective, now look, probably not maybe a surprise to yourselves, maybe because you're from Dublin, but seeing the Fianna putting 11-point victory over Kilmacud Crokes is certainly a big shock to me, just considering how much I thought Kilmacud Crokes should have won the Dublin Championship final last year. But look, maybe that's for another day. Maybe East Kerry, it's only scoring 2 points in their second half is absolutely insane to me as well. But yeah, no, some interesting moments from the weekend. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think like even looking at that Rory McNamee goal, like that was incredible, to be honest with you. Like they absolutely like belting that. Like, so maybe I'd nearly go with that, in fairness, as probably one of the moments of the week. I think, yeah, like Niamh Connell's comeback versus Guido as well was very impressive. Albeit like I feel bad for Guido just because they haven't won it since 2018. They were leading for the vast majority, and would have been a huge moment for them to have gotten over the line. But fair play to Niamh Connell for kind of holding their resolve to kind of come through it. Dunloy winning a first title in 89 years as well, like a predominantly hurling club usually, you know, in Antrim. So to come through in football is an incredible kind of achievement for them, playing intermediate only a couple of years ago as well. So and incredible stuff there. And Peter does say here, Liam, do you think Courtwood has lost their chance, or could they get a second win in the replay? What do you think?
Oh, they have every chance in the world. There's no question about it. Look, obviously Portarlington, it could be a case of sort of like Brian Cody back in the day. He gets a replay and he susses out what he needs to fix for the next day, and all of a sudden Kilkenny come out the next day and destroy teams. But I don't know. There's something about Courtwood this season. Even speaking to Ronan Coffey last week from Portarlington, he'd said Courtwood are probably been arguably the best team in Laois this year, and it's going to be their toughest challenge to date. And clearly it was today, going down the home stretch, nearly losing out on winning back-to-back Laois titles. But no, look, Courtwood are a team that put 4-11 past Portlaoise, and they fought to the bitter end to take down St. Joseph's, and they fought back again today. I think they're a team of great resolve. They're a team of great fight. And I think Mark Bates' team will absolutely give it a hell of a run in the replay. Yeah, no, I don't think they've lost their chance. I think the fact that they've got a second bite of the cherry is good. And I think it should be a very interesting final. And it's very hard to call now. We'll just have to see how the next couple of weeks go.
Absolutely. Well, look, I think we'll wrap it up there, folks. Do let us know in the comments as well your thoughts on some of the club games of the weekend. Let us know as well your moment of the week and everything else. Maybe one last question here. James says, do you think Sharon have any chance? I don't know if he's trying to trip you up there.
Thanks, James. Yeah, absolutely they do. They're a solid team, very good team. A good few of Offaly's. Cheers, Peter. A good few Offaly senior hurlers in their team as well. Bet us in 22. We bet them in 23. We drew with them in the group stages this year. The league final we played against each other was only 3 points in it. So yeah, look, it's going to be a tough final next week. Shinron absolutely have a chance of beating us. For me, it's a 50-50 final. There's no question about it. It wouldn't shock me next week if Shinron did win the final. But look, I'm going to back us, and I'm going to say we will win it. But it certainly will not be. It will be coming out of it with a few sore bodies. I can tell you that.
100%. Well, look, lads, we'll wrap it up there anyway. Do hit the like button, subscribe if you could, as well. Share this out to your friends and family, and yeah, we'll catch us all in the next. Instinct, baby. Follow your instinct.